Okay, so today what we're going to do, Liz, is take a look at the functionality in the portal for creating newsletters. Um, there's also a few other different types of communications that can be sent from the portal as well. So we can, kind of overview that, and then I can give you a little bit more detail or in-depth look at creating newsletters and some of that functionality. We did make that available to the board members, so both the newsletter and the bulletin functionality. So when you guys get logged in, you're in your account, you're going to be able to navigate to community communications, just like I'm about to do here on the screen. And you'll be able to select from newsletters or banners. And this is the location that you guys would access in order for you to create any sort of community communications. Okay. Oops, I got logged out. Hold on one second.
You showed us the alert. The alert is what shows up across the top of the page every time someone goes in the portal.
Well, that's,
So,
yeah,
right,
go ahead.
that's okay. The newsletter is created, and does it get blasted out to everybody's email, or is it stay under newsletters and people have to go there to see it?
Both.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So as just a reminder too, when we do send communications anytime from the portal, like we're going to talk through now, and of course we're not going to send anything today. We're just going to just play around and I'm going to show you stuff. So no stress or worries there. But anytime you do send communications from the portal, it will go out to everyone in the community that we have an email address for, not just the individuals who have signed up or registered for a portal account. So
Gotcha. So if
it's
they never
going,
go in the portal, they're still going to get the blast because they're in the directory. Got it. Okay, that's good.
yep, exactly. So, and that goes for the newsletter functions that you can see here, as well as the bulletins. The banners, the notification banners, the one that you're seeing up here, this was kind of the test banner that we put up there. But that's simply going to be visible when an owner logs in and navigates around to any page, unless they close it out. If they come up here as an owner, and I can do this as a manager too, just like you can as a board member, any owners can come in and just say, okay, I've read the bulletin, I know what's there, and they can click to close it. And then that way they won't see it again until you go ahead and put up a new bulletin there.
So
Okay.
that thing across the top was a bulletin, not a banner.
Yeah, I'm sorry, my bad. It is actually a banner. It's not a
Okay.
bulletin. So
Okay,
yeah, I'm sorry if that there's so much terminology that it's
I
easy when
know,
you're
and
talking
I'm
to
trying
them.
to just differentiate between the two. All right, so banners stay on the portal, they're across the top like a banner. Okay, got it.
Correct. Yep, exactly. And in fact, what I'll do is I'll navigate back toward the dashboard. So this is the landing page for everybody as they come in. Again, that banner, if they've not exited out, it'll be on top of there. But the other cool feature about the dashboard is that they will also right here on the dashboard, this home page, they're actually going to see the little blurbs of bulletins that are created. They
Gotcha.
won't see blurbs of newsletters, but they will see if let's say we create a bulletin, and the bulletin just, talks about how, the on the south section of the community, 3 roads are going to be closed for repaving. We create a bulletin. That will populate, not only that will of course be sent to owners via email, but that will populate here as well in a little blurb section right here on that homepage under latest community news.
Gotcha. So bulletins also get blasted and on main page.
Yes, correct.
Okay,
Okay.
gotcha.
So with that said, let's take a little bit of a deeper dive into community communications. Of course, this is, it's visible to us as kind of admin. myself and Gloria. This is also going to be visible to you as both an owner and a board member. So anyone coming in here in either regard is going to see these as options. But for the purposes of today, what we wanted to do was kind of navigate around, get you familiar with how to create the newsletters and the bulletins in the community communications feature. So we'll start with the newsletters. And so I just go ahead, click on that. And let's say that it was you, Liz, that wanted to create a new newsletter for the community. Okay. What you would do is, of course, you'd navigate to newsletters. You would come in here to the main page, and then you would click on either newsletter,
Mhm.
add newsletter right here in the green button, or you could come over here and you could select manage templates. I'm going to go there first just to show you what is visible and what you have access to. Okay, so if I were to click on manage templates, I can actually see a list that comes standard with Frontsteps in terms of the way that they've just built out the kind of the structure, the bones. The templates are kind of categorized into different, styles or types. For example, here's one that is dedicated to the annual meeting, right? So let's say maybe you did want to come in here and you were the one that wanted to create the newsletter that would announce the annual meeting to residents, and you wanted to select this template. So you would come over here and you would click on preview. And you can kind of just see here, oh, okay, this is kind of the bones of what that particular template looks like. All right. There is a way to utilize this template and actually update it with, of course, your specific information. This is just the template. This is the bones of the communication. But you have the ability to, obviously see what's out there, what's available, utilize any of these templates, and make any sort of adjustments to the templates as needed. Another example, here's a Christmas one. You could come in and, update this, utilize this one. It's totally up to you, but there is a stock of templates here that you could get into and utilize potentially as the bones of a newsletter. You also can add your own, like this would be one example. You can you can visualize the blank template here. It's literally nothing, but let's say if you wanted to create from scratch, you would just click on either here, new newsletter, or excuse me, new template, or add this newsletter with this green button. So either way, you have the option to, start the process from scratch or by utilizing one of your templates. In this case, as you saw, we basically started from scratch. This is your blank template, but let's say you did want to go ahead and utilize that annual meeting template, right? You could click here and make that selection, and then it would open up here into the body of this platform so that you can actually make your adjustments, updates, changes right here on this page. Okay. So for example, though, let's go back to just a blank template. I want to just have a clean slate so I can show you a couple things. First and foremost, they do require you to title that newsletter, right? So it makes sense. You want to have a title, very clear indication of what the community communication, in this case, the newsletter, is about. If you did want to utilize a custom reply to email address here, you could, but most managers or board members don't do that. They basically, when it comes in, it's just going to say, I believe it's titled no reply at Frontsteps, something like that.com. But if you really wanted to, you could customize. I would encourage you to not put your own email address in there. Because then you will, of course, be inundated with reply emails. I'm sure Gloria can attest to this. Once you send out communications, pretty much instantaneously, you get responses in your inbox. in regards to that communication. So it happens, you probably don't want them. So I would just suggest leaving that as is. Now, as we come down, again, this is where we're going to start building out the communication. But before that, you do have some options. Number one, you can select a group. I would say if this is going out to everyone, you don't need to touch this, right? Because this would be if you only wanted to send it to, say, maybe, a particular neighborhood or specific people within the community. Most likely you're sending it to all. So
Right.
you'll leave that there. And then here under your role, right, you could actually tell the system, hey, I want to send this out to, for example, just tenants, right, versus
Uh,
owners.
Gotcha.
But you decide, you choose, but you do have some of that functionality. Most frequently, we're choosing everyone. And then again, this is the body of your the content base where you're going to build out the newsletter. Very easy if you've ever utilized any of these email platforms, email like the content driven platforms.
Yep.
If you haven't, I do want to just put you at ease. It will take you a little bit of time to just kind of understand how it functions. But once you understand it, it's a breeze. It's very easy to manipulate and customize. So
So it
for,
looks like I mean, like I do a lot of PowerPoints
okay,
and dragging and adding and pulling up from and moving and inserting. And
yeah.
so from blank, it looks very much like how you would do something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very, very similar. So for example, if I wanted to put the community logo up at the top of the newsletter, for example, I'm going to switch my screen really quickly. Watch this.
Hmm.
This was one that I created for another one of the communities that we manage. It's obviously called La Pradera, but so this is an example. We pulled in their logo. We customized this because it was specific to their social committee. And then we added content. Obviously, you can see there's text. We added beautiful photos. We did put a link in here to their website. So this would be an example of when it's kind of fully built out, that's sort of what it would look like as the owner would see it coming into their email inbox. So content, again, basically, let's say I wanted to put the logo in here. I would simply go ahead, drag and drop that as a content block into the base. And then let's say I wanted to upload an image, right? From you have images on your computer that you want to add, you would simply click, your file explorer will come up. You can select your image, and then you're of course going to get your image to display in that base. Okay.
So we need to, Gloria, there's the stone pine. I saw it on something. Do we have that? I've got to see if I have that image anywhere.
I'll have to look. Because
I,
right now, whenever I send something out, I do it through our other system called Caliber. But this is a much more user-friendly platform, and I plan to start utilizing that. So I'll look for your letterhead, if you will.
yeah.
Um, I know on the website there's a picture of the entrance, so I can always get a copy of that.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think I recall, I'm trying to pull your website up now.
There's the image you could use.
Yeah, I mean, you could do something like that. I'm trying to see what else was populated previously. Yeah, there's not really not much, but again, that's something that you guys can work out. You certainly, if you wanted to, you could just add text there. You don't, I mean, again, this is fully customizable. You don't necessarily have to do it the way I was displaying over here. Just wanted to give you a visual, right? And just to show you how easy it is to customize it with these different content
Cool.
blocks.
Cool.
So for example, let's say now you wanted to add a text block and you wanted to say something about, I don't know, there's a committee meeting coming up. So you want to talk about the committee meeting. You drag and drop that text content block in, and then you simply just start typing. And when you do, you're going to see this lovely little, this is obviously where you can customize your text. And you can, if you want, you can hide that, you can, expand that so it's not in your way. But this certainly gives you some options to, make your text and any of that content within that text block look to how you would want it. You can obviously add links if you would like. You can certainly, get creative with some internal features, emojis, that's always a fun thing. Some folks like to add that, but so there is ability to, start customizing your text as you're, creating and building. Certainly, if you wanted to get really in depth with the, just the layout, you could add different columns. For example, if I wanted it to have two separate columns, like for example, with text over here and a photo over here, I could just add a text content block on this side, on this column, and then I could add a photo content block on this column over here. Really nice too, because you can actually, let's say you did that, but you wanted to move it up in the order of this newsletter. You simply just drag and drop, and that's going to move it to, the location or the position that you want it to be in. So if you did decide, oh, okay, no, I don't want those columns, I don't want this content, I can just simply delete it, clicking on that delete button. Or if I wanted to duplicate that, let's say I created that content block with text on the left and, photo on the right, I could just tell it, hey, I want to do that again, right? I want to duplicate that same layout and the content. If you tell it duplicate, it will populate that right below it, right? And then you can update it if you need to or want to. But all of that to show you there is endless customization and content possibilities. You can actually, what's neat is you can see this right here, your base of the newsletter in a desktop view, but you can also click here on mobile, and it'll show you what it's going to look like as it comes through on an owner's mobile device. So you can kind of test it out and kind of give it a look over to see whether or not it's kind of formatting just the way you want it, or do you want to change it? But this is a great example, because when you add, for example, two columns as a content block, you can see that when it comes through on the mobile device, those columns are actually not sat side by side. Now they're positioned one right on top of another. You see that?
They're vertical instead of horizontal.
So it's just something to keep in mind, and it is good practice to kind of double check to see how it's coming through on the mobile device, because as you know, most people are opening their emails on their cell phones. They're going to see this stuff on their mobile device generally first before they open it on their PC or laptop or what have you. So that's a way for you to visualize what it looks like either way.
Right.
Any questions on that, Liz?
No, it appears very familiar to when you're adjusting, PowerPoints or anything like that. So
yeah. Yep.
Looks good.
Super easy. So yeah, that is the newsletter functionality. What I'm going to do here is, before I close this up, I'm actually going to delete it because we don't want to save this as a draft necessarily. But what I did want to point out though too is two things. Number one, if you do create a newsletter within the system, and let's say this was a newsletter for February, right? It's upcoming events in February, and you wanted to attach, for example, the February board meeting agenda. You can. So you just simply click on your add attachments, and that will come through, of course, as an attachment to the email newsletter as it comes to the owner's email. So that's a nice feature. And then you can also let's say you did get done building out this newsletter, but you're like, oh, I love this and I want to keep this as actually kind of my template for our monthly newsletters. And then it will allow me just to come in and customize the content within the blocks on a month by month basis. You could actually save that as a template, and
Perfect.
then it would be in your template list for you. And then you can just come back to that and click on that one again, and then just again, update it as you need to month by month.
Perfect. No, I was going to ask that question because, yeah, once we get the logo in there and the basic, text boxes maybe for generic kind of stuff, it'd be great just to pull it and update it, especially for board meetings,
Right.
it's
Yep, exactly. So that would be a good recommendation. The other thing for you to know too is you obviously, as you can see here, can save this as a draft, meaning, you've started it, but you're not ready to either schedule it or send it out immediately because you're working on it, right? Like you're just kind of piece by piece, you're coming back in and you're making changes. You definitely do need to save as draft if you've not completed it because it does not save automatically. Okay, so make sure if you're just gonna kind of piece by piece come in and work on it, you click save as draft so that when you're ready to return and continue editing the template before you send it, you have saved it. Okay.
Mhm.
The other thing is, of course, you can, like I just mentioned, you can schedule it out. So let's say you've created it on a Friday night, but you don't want it to go out until Monday morning. You can actually click on your schedule button and then tell the system, I want it to go out Monday at 8 a.m. So it's really neat in that regard, because yeah, I mean, you have the full control over, when that is going to go out and be visible to your owners. Conversely, you obviously see here, you can send immediately. So, if it is something that is, you got it done this morning, you really wanted to get out this morning because it's got time sensitive information, click send now, and it's going to go out almost instantaneously. I do think it sits in a queue for just a little while, maybe a few moments, but pretty much as soon as you click send now, within minutes, your owners are going to have that dropped into their email box. Okay.
Great.
So I'm going to go ahead and delete this one. And then it does look like maybe when we get back to our main screen that Gloria set up a draft in there. So I'm kind of curious. I want to see what's in there. Um, Somehow, some way, my system is slow this morning. You can see it spinning. I'm sorry, it's taking a while.
It's weird when I come up here because I have that fiber cable in the valley, I
Mm-hmm.
come here and I'm on whatever it is, star, whatever. And I have to remember, okay,
Yeah, we're not dealing with the valley. I'm having some technical
watching
difficulties
dirty
here.
TV, and it's like, why is my internet connection heavily congested? You got to be kidding me.
All
What does
right.
this even mean?
Okay, so finally I got it to respond. My internet has been a little spotty. It could be my internet, or it also could be Frontsteps having a little bit of a breakdown. But anyway, we're back. And so let's see. I'm going to click on view here. So by the way, this, what I would essentially call kind of the homepage of the newsletter section, it's actually going to list out in list view, as you can see right here, every communication that you send out by this method. So this is a really nice place for
Mhm.
you to be able to access all the previous communications. So for example, you get an owner that calls and said, hey, you never sent out that email, or we never got information on that, right? And you can't really remember. Well, hey, you could come back here and you can either scroll through your list of previously sent communications, or you can actually search by a topic right here. And anything related to that within one of the communications, it should populate that at the top of the list here for you.
Okay, great. That'll
Yeah.
be nice because, once you invent the wheel, you don't have to reinvent it every time.
Exactly. Yep. So,
Okay.
and then you've got some tabs here too, from which you can filter. So, if you wanted to see all previous communications, obviously filter to all. If you wanted to see those that were already sent, meaning published, you could filter to published. If you wanted to see what's sitting in your drafts folder, you could click on drafts, obviously, and then those that are scheduled. So
Okay.
really intuitive. It really is just not rocket science, but I'm curious. I want to see what's here under this untitled. Okay, this looks like it was created by you, so that's wonderful. But let's say, Liz, you started as a draft and you just want to keep on working on it. Really easy to do that. You're going to come right up here to this, see this little edit button next to the delete. That's where you're going to start your process of making your updates and edits within the draft.
Gotcha.
Okay.
I
So
didn't know I did that, but great.
that's okay. Well, it's wonderful because again, it's one of these things where you can obviously, you don't have to feel pressured to get a giant newsletter created all in one sitting, right? You go in, you can start it, you can draft it, you can come back, all of that. Here's another neat feature. Okay, I'm going to show it to you right here.
Okay.
Preview. We're not really going to see anything here, unfortunately, because it's really you haven't worked on it. But for example, though, I'm going to show you up here with the one that we did draft for this other community. I'm going to come up to preview, and this is going to give me that live look again in a bigger format of what that communication is going to look like as it comes through.
Gotcha.
All right. So newsletters. Any questions on that before we do go move over to bulletins?
No, I think I got it. I did find the Stone Pine our little SP thing, Gloria. So I saved it to pictures. I think the picture on the website would be a good one too. So I think once we find those, we'll do a couple of templates with those as headers, Um,
Yeah, I'll let you know if I don't have them in my
okay,
system.
okay, that sounds good.
Here's another trick too, Gloria. If you wanted, you could always do this. And this is just by the way, and maybe you know how to do this, but this is how we actually we're finishing up your customized presentations. Or did we already finish them? I
You
think
did.
we did.
Yeah,
Okay.
we already sent that out to the homeowners.
Okay, perfect. So what we do for when we're creating those custom presentations so that we have, community specific images for the presentations is we do a screenshot, right? So you could come in here and you could just simply screenshot right
Mhm.
off of the website and it produces a very high quality photo out of that screenshot, so long as you're like the pixelization on your screen is pretty
Mhm.
decent. So you could actually, if you can't find those photos, you could always do it that way with a little screenshot of the website.
Okay, great.
Okay, so let's move on to bulletins. So this is going to function very similar to the newsletter in terms of the creation process. Although there's a couple caveats. I will say, the bulletins feature is really very much akin to just a basic, very generic trimmed down email blast to owners, which is probably what they've been used to seeing, which is what comes out of our other system, which is called Caliber.
Okay,
So this is basically you're not making it fancy. You just want to get information out. Perhaps this is the one that you or Gloria uses to just alert everyone of an upcoming board meeting or an emergency board meeting or a special meeting or something to where it's like, I'm just getting out information on one topic most
okay,
likely, right? And it's got a kind of, it's like time sensitive. I want to get this out really quick. I don't want to spend time, creating a fancy newsletter. So that's this functionality here. We're going to add bulletin right up here with the big green button. And then again, similar to kind of the process that you will go through to initiate a newsletter, you do the same up here with the bulletin. You choose a category if you want. Up here, this is kind of neat. For example, if you wanted to create something on an event, it would be categorized within your bulletins in this category. So that's another search feature that owners have. When they go in, they could actually filter by category. So it's not required. So you don't have to select a category, but it will default to general. And then you can choose the group if you want certain people, or of course the roles, owners or tenants. That's something that you could do here. Of course, as we mentioned before, the reply to email is optional, but again, very important just to keep in mind, you're probably going to get inundated if you change the reply to your personal email. It will force you into obviously a title for your bulletin. So let's say you wanted to alert people.
So Gloria, I see this as, we did that full calendar, and every other month the board is having a private, executive session.
Yeah, you can do that. You also have a calendar that they can look at. This would be the same thing as if I'm doing now, only it's in a different format. It's a little more user-friendly than what I use in Caliber, but it's the same thing. It's an e-blast going out to the community about an upcoming meeting or hey, the one I just sent out, the website is now live. Please everybody needs to register, that kind of thing.
So yeah, and at least this is stored. So if somebody says, well, I didn't know there was you'd be like, well, go on the portal, you see when we send. That's what's nice about this instead of digging through emails.
Right. They can go back and see everything you've done, which is different than Caliber for me because it posts it to each property. So it's a little different for me in Caliber. I like this much better because it's easier to find things and plus I can use this in conjunction. Say they're going to do road work. You can send out an e-blast to everybody saying, hey, they're doing road work from this date to this date. Then you can also set up a notification banner as well. So you can do a couple things with it.
Well, like when we paint the decks, we'll be all over this, right?
Right. Or paint certain buildings or whatever. Yeah.
Okay. So this is just a glorified email that's stored and readily available. Got it.
It's what we call e-blast.
Yep. Okay.
Yep.
Got it.
And again, it goes to everybody regardless of their preference because it's coming from HOAMCO.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and again, similar to the newsletters, you can see here that we have an option to add attachments. So, let's say this was a special board meeting that was, scheduled and you wanted to attach that agenda, you can certainly. But again, you can also drop your content in. So, for example, instead of attaching the agenda, you could actually just drop, like you could create the agenda and then copy paste that agenda information right here into the message area instead of making an attachment. So like you've got some options. One thing I will tell you too is the bulletins are unique from the newsletters in that when an owner with a portal account signs in, again, remember, they're going to be able to see it right there on their dashboard under the latest community news section. But the portal actually has this unique feature that if you want to allow residents to comment on a bulletin within the portal, you can allow it. Now, it will by default say here, we're not allowing comments on our bulletins. But if you did want people to have the opportunity to comment, I know Gloria's like, no comment.
So that's like a blog. It's like Facebook or any of those when people start chiming in, right? It becomes like that basically.
Yeah. It's usually the negative. It's usually very negative and it all comes to me. So I'd rather not.
I'm fine with it. Listen, I am a firm believer as I read, especially up here, the comments. Oh my God. people have a lot stronger opinions than they would if they were in person. So
Correct. And Christina, correct me if I'm wrong, they have an ability to do like a survey if they needed some input?
So yeah, well, yes, we can set up the survey functionality, and yeah, so there's a couple other different types of things like that. Classifieds is another example. I mean, this is one of the classifieds is another example of boards are either very much for it or very much against it. There's no kind of wishy-washy, at least in my experience, on that topic because where in the classified functionality within the portal where managers do have the ability to come in and delete ads that may be inappropriate. There's no functionality to go in there and moderate the content ahead of time, right? So, or like allow or disapprove. And so the same with these comments on these bulletins. So you got it. Yeah, I mean, I would always err on it's probably better just to leave comments off for this sort of thing.
yeah,
You know,
this group is very non-engaged. They literally come up here for 4 months or 5 months and really don't want to be bothered by anything. They're not now. Well, in the Valley, it's a very similar association, except we've got 70, I don't know, eight, we're double, I think, but very vocal about everything. And so it's like and I stay out of it. I don't even go to the meetings. I don't read it. I don't want to, I can't, I don't want to know. I don't care. But here, very rarely, but even so, even that so being said, we keep it off. We just, if you got something to say, come to a meeting, reach out to a board member or call Glory.
right. And again, because there's no way to proactively moderate the content, you don't want necessarily some, inflammatory or vulgar comment being posted and maybe it sits there for a week until somebody noted, like management or board notices it. Yeah. So good practice, I would say. The other final,
This, or if you comment, I'm
yeah.
not saying still comments off, but if you were to have them on and somebody comment, it would not be anonymous, correct? It would be from their email.
It would not be anonymous. It would actually say the owner's name. Yes.
Gotcha.
Yep.
But still, who needs it? We don't need it.
Yeah, I think it's just sort of a recipe for disaster.
But
And
we
we
also
want to not
advertise,
create disasters. So
yeah, we don't have time to, and then it's just bad fit. We're too small to have, we got enough, yeah.
yeah. So the final thing on this is, and I think I neglected to mention this on newsletters, but you actually do have the ability to notify via SMS or text message at no additional cost. So it's something that you guys as the board in conjunction with Gloria can have a conversation about whether or not you do want to simultaneously alert residents, regarding these communications via text simultaneous to the email. So up to you guys, talk through it. If you decide you do want to send a simultaneous text, and this again would go to all members of the community, regardless of whether or not they have a portal account, as long as we have a cell phone for them in their account profile. Then if we toggle on this notify via SMS, again, they'll get a simultaneous text message along with the email as well.
So does the text message say you have a bulletin in your email? Or
Yeah, basically that. Yep. A new something like a new bulletin has been created. To access that, you can check your email, or if you have a portal account, you can log into your portal account. So I don't remember the exact verbiage, but yes, it's just an alert that an email blast has been sent.
message? And the reason I think that might be interesting is people struggle to one, remember there's our board meeting invites, and maybe Gloria, this is something we need to work on. They don't go to people's calendar. So unless they physically go to their calendar and put it in, and then the link's not there. So the only thing I can think of is I would like to put out a blast of the link, the Zoom link, ahead of the board meeting because they can't, they're going to literally have to go through emails to find the link. But I thought, I don't use Zoom, but I thought when I did use it on occasion, there's a way to get it to go. If you accept it, it goes into your calendar with the link. But again, I don't know. Let's say it doesn't. Then this
Yeah,
is why I would like the link to be in there, blast it to SMS saying, got a message with the link is here you go. If you want to join the meeting, here's the link.
yeah, there's a function in Zoom that you can send an invitation, and we don't normally use it that way, although we could, but I've never used that because when I do the agenda, the Zoom information is all in there, and there is a link in that they can click on.
I know,
So,
but I'm just
but
going.
yeah, you're talking about their calendar.
Yeah.
Well, yes, and then there's a reminder. So I'm kind of
Right.
like Pavlov's dog. Like I didn't get a reminder. I knew this call was at 10, but I'm call to call to call, and then I don't get a reminder, and I'm on another call, and then I'm like, oh, so
Yeah.
if you send it as an invite, they get a 15-minute reminder. They open their calendar, and there's it's just very simple for those, but then I look at the population of this group and I think, who even knows if they use their calendar? But anyway,
Right.
here and now.
Well, one of the things too is if you set up the Zooms with like by registration, so instead of like you just sending them the Zoom link, right, in an email, if you set up the meetings to where they actually have to click to
Yes,
register,
yes,
then they will get a registration response email from Zoom that
right,
does have a link in that email that says add to calendar. So
right,
you could always set it up that way because that's another way to back into it, right? Where it's like instead of it's you're creating the Zoom meeting, it automatically gives you a link, and then you're just basically copying, pasting that Zoom meeting link or invite and sending it out to them. If you force them to register, then again, it's going to basically it'll email them with that invite, and it will have that like add to calendar link in that registration response email.
right.
Okay,
So,
well,
for example,
we can
also
off
I
look at
will
that.
send out when we do an executive meeting, I send out the invite on mine, and I usually use Teams, but I can use Zoom too. It doesn't matter. They get an actual invite that goes to their calendar, and they can respond. That way, I also know who's going to show up.
Right.
So it may be, but either way, Gloria, I would send it as an invitation to their calendar because people literally work off a calendar anymore.
Okay,
Uh,
yeah, I can look at doing that. I've always been resistant to Zoom because I'm not a fan, but I'm more of a fan of in-person stuff, but that's not the reality in this day and age. So I just have to learn that piece of Zoom. But it won't take long. It's probably just a click or something when I set up a meeting and it's
but
done.
either way, we'll send the reminder and the link because
Yeah,
listen, we get very little, on the Zoom meetings, one or
right.
two other than the board max. Even our live annual meeting is the same people every year. But
Yeah.
we're not for not trying, right? And this is the perfect way for them to not have any excuses not to jump on.
I mean, and at the end of the day, Liz, it's you guys, being confident that you've provided every avenue possible for participation. So, right, like to your point, they can't come back and say, well, you didn't tell us, or you didn't invite us, or we weren't noticed, or what have you. It's like, no, you were.
Yeah.
You're just choosing to not participate. So it's kind of
That's
on
what
you
I
guys,
mean. We got a lot going on this year, and there's going to be a lot of firewise stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, we walked around, there's two buildings that have fire, logs that have to be cleared up. We don't, we really, they're going to need to get used to this way of communication because, there's going to be a lot of activity in our little community this year, maybe more than normal. So.
Yeah, hopefully not, but yes. Okay, so does that give you at least a good crack in the door to the functionality? Do you feel relatively confident about starting some drafts?
Yeah, this is great. And it relieved my mind because it's stuff we do every day in another, either in Word or Evite, if we're sending Evites through that app, or tons of PowerPoints or
Well,
infographics. Very
and
comfortable.
I've used this system many times at my old property. I'm very familiar with this. The thing is, I want to remind you though, if you're going to do a newsletter and you're going to attach a flyer, it has to be in JPEG.
Yes,
It doesn't like flyers in anything other than a JPEG. It's been my experience. So unless they've updated this software, the PDFs didn't work. It doesn't pull the pictures in or something that you might have on a flyer. So I always tell somebody, if you want a flyer sent out, make sure you save it in JPEG format and then send it to me, and then it can upload it really simple.
gotcha. Makes
Yeah.
sense.
Well, and just technically speaking on that, you should be able to, like, there is no platform restriction to any other formats. For example, like most people are going to want to upload in a PDF, right? Like, for example, you create your agenda, you save it as a PDF.
Right.
That's what goes out generally.
Right.
There is no specific restriction. So if you were having trouble with that, Gloria, I'm not sure exactly what, when the time frame was, or what maybe the cause was, but technically speaking, you should be able to attach those other types of documents as well.
Okay.
Primarily, again, most people are selecting PDFs, but yeah, I mean, in theory, you could upload, or should be able to upload, a Word doc, a PDF, a JPEG, like you said. There should be no restriction. So if you find, like, I would give it a try in a draft. Let me know if you are getting some struggle with that, because then I'll want to talk to Frontsteps, and just give them a little note, so that they understand that some people are having issues.
Well, and I did work with Frontsteps when I was having that problem, because a homeowner on the activities committee would send me a flyer. So I'd upload it as a PDF. It would upload the text, but it would not bring the pictures in. And I don't have access to their pictures to add them back. And Frontsteps wasn't able to do that. So they told me just start having them do JPEGs. Now, again, that's been quite a while ago.
Right.
So if they've done some enhancements, I'm not aware of it.
Yeah, I mean, it is possible that it's still in the same condition, although
Okay.
I've done a couple of these of late, and I haven't heard or seen any problems, but it's not to say that there isn't some still a bug that's out there. But you let me know if you do try and you're running into issues, and then we will bring it up. Now, again, there is no system, there is nothing within the system saying these are precluded from the file types, right? So I do want you to let me know if it continues, because that is something that Frontsteps does need to repair if it is causing issue.
Okay.
All right.
Perfect. Yeah, I think pictures for sure should be JPEG, I would think.
Right.
Yeah, okay. And our logo is in that, so I just checked that on files. So that's a JPEG. So yeah, we'll see. I will know once we start using it. But this is great, Christina. Thank you.
Sure.
Very,
Yeah,
very,
absolutely.
and
Yeah,
I will
we're
definitely
here to
go
help.
in. And Paige said she's pretty good at this stuff, so I'm counting on her too. But we'll get some templates in there, and should probably do a newsletter, Gloria. Once we get everything scheduled as far as painting and decks, and I usually do a blast, before everybody comes back, letting them know what we're doing on the off season, so it's ready for them.
Yeah, just let me know what you want when you want it.
Okay, cool.
Well, okay, ladies, thank you so much for the time. I appreciate it. Thank you for walking through the steps, but we are a support and a resource both for you, Liz, obviously anyone else on the board, or anyone else that wants to assist with the newsletter, the e-blast, but of course for Gloria as well. So we're going to walk through it step by step and make sure that you guys feel, completely and totally comfortable with the system. So let me know if there's anything that I can do to make it easier for you guys. happy to help.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, all right. Well, I wish you both a wonderful weekend.
You have a great
Yay!
weekend
Yay!
and get some snow up here.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
have
Monday,
today.
Tuesday.
Well, bring it on and let it snow long and hard. We
Yeah,
need it.
Well, we need it,
definitely
but yeah, for sure.
Okay.
All
All
Bye.
right.
right, thank you so much, guys.
Thank you. See ya.